This mod turns Bannerlord into a whole different game. You can play as a samurai, get your own ships, have duels, and so much more. I'm starting as a nobody, with no combat skills and the worst character build. I will have to join a clan, survive however I can, and go from rock bottom all the way to a samurai of legends. If I'm not careful, I could lose everything. My final objective is to clean the land of outlaws and become a master warrior. So, here we go. I spent 100 days as a samurai in Bannerlord. Day 1. I wandered through the lands, looking for purpose, meaning, not knowing if there was going to be a next day, until I met Lord Kiso Yoyatsu of the house Kisoshi. I asked to join their army. My combat skills were lacking, but they took me in. He saw something in me. Since I had no experience at all, I would start from the bottom. This is the rank tree. I began as a militia peasant with some rags and a bamboo stick. I needed to prove my worth in battle and gain experience to progress. Now I had a daily wage of 10 gold coins. It wasn't much, but it was a start. We were over 800 men all marching together on our way to defend our land from the enemy. Mori Castle was under siege, and we were gonna push the invaders away. The arrows started flying in. I looked at my brothers in arms, all marching forward without hesitation. I was looking at death in the face. The armies clashed. It was chaos. It was hard to distinguish friend from foe. The screams of pain. My heart was pounding. I tried going around, attacking their backside with my bamboo stake in hand. I thrusted forward with it. Couldn't get a solid hit. I needed to do something. Desperate, I took a sword from one of the corpses. Through the bushes, it was hard to see where the enemy was. I tried sticking close to my brothers, taking my first life. I saw how the body laid on the ground. I stared at it. Something changed inside me. But I burst through it. My arms moved as if something else was taking control over me, killing a second enemy. I managed to take down a third one, then another one, until the enemy began to flee. We chased them away and won. One of the things I love about Bannerlord is the feeling of rising from nothing, going from joining a group of warriors to leading an army of your own, leading your forces into battle. It reminds me of a game I've been playing recently, a dark fantasy RPG, where you have to recruit warriors with different skills and classes, delving into dungeons, earning gear, fighting bosses, and more. If you'd like to support the channel, it would really help me if you check the game out. Click the link in the description or even scan the QR code on screen and give it a shot. The game is free, you can play it on PC and mobile, and it has a huge amount of content. There's a campaign, dungeon runs, tons of factions, and even an arena to delve into PvP. Raid recently added the dwarves, who wear heavy armor and rely on brute force and precision. They're heavy tanks that use runes, mechanical enhancements, and massive weapons in battle. My personal favorite is the legendary Torment the Cold. I love the look of his armor, and his passive skill, which can freeze an enemy each time they receive a buff or have their turn meter filled. My other favorite one is Thalin Fullbeard, which is free to get for new players using my link in the description or the QR on screen. Then use the promo code Demon Slayer and it will be yours. It's only available by the end of June, so be fast. You'll also immediately get a huge starter pack with an ultimate Galek from the Orcs faction, which is a really strong epic. Plus, after reaching level 15, you'll get a second pack that equals an epic Zargala from the Orcs as well. One of the strongest support epics and a perfect couple to Galek. In addition, both new and existing players can redeem 2 more promo codes with useful resources. Be sure to check the description. Don't forget, use my link or scan my QR code to get the bonuses and you'll help support the channel. You can find me in the game by the name Aryan Shadow. Join my clan, the Undead Slayers, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Now I had proved myself and earned a new rank. I could choose between 3 different paths. I went with melee. Then I picked up the weapons and body armor of my liking. I was now also able to level up. I selected the swiftness perk, which made me faster while wielding a 2-handed weapon. We spent tons and tons of days doing nothing, which was surprising to me. I thought the army was supposed to be on top of things, strike down the enemy, but we just went from one place to the other. Things were really quiet for quite some time, until we came across the army of Genzaman, mercenaries, attacking defenseless merchants. We jumped in to help the caravan. My first fight under the snow. I couldn't begin to tell you how hard it was to cross that river. The bodies of my brothers began to fall, one after the other, and then I got shot. After that, everything was a blur. I remember getting outnumbered, surrounded, and feeling myself drop to the ground. We lost the battle. I was taken captive by the enemy forces. For days, I was a prisoner. I questioned my decisions. Did I make the right choice? Was joining this army the right path? Until the cavalry came to the rescue. They fought the mercenaries, putting them down, and I was able to escape in the midst of the chaos. I now had a quest to return to Kiso Yoyatsu and resume my duties. If I took too long, I could be considered a deserter. From what I gathered, they were near Asumi. I traveled to that village. It was freezing. I tried asking around to see if anybody had seen Lord Kiso, but nothing. So I decided to go to the nearby town of Fukashi. Even though it was covered by snow, the place was full of life. People going around everywhere. It was quite the sight. I visited the trader to buy some food. The cheapest thing was rice, so that had to do. I kept asking around to find anything useful, and the best place to do so was the tavern. Travelers, warriors, mercenaries, everyone gathered to relax, have a sip, and forget about their problems. This was the place to gather information if you needed it. I approached the tavern keeper, but he also didn't know anything. I went around talking to people, and I met Buntaro, the outcast. He used to be a soldier by trade, served for 20 years. Now he was a sellsword. He asked for 5,000 coins to join anyone, but I couldn't afford that and I wasn't looking for something like that right now. On my way out of town, I came across Lord Masataka. He offered me to re-enlist in his army with a lesser rank. I ended up accepting this. Once my wounds were healed, I noticed there were preparations underway for a tournament. That's when I first stepped into the arena. There were tons of people gathered around, watching, cheering, warriors giving it all. Multiple duels were happening at the same time. It seemed to be a pretty big thing. Since our last battle had a bitter taste in my mouth, I wanted to improve my skills. That shot I received changed me. I talked with the tournament master. He told me they used blunt weapons only. It was not a fight to the death. Also, when no tournaments were around, it's possible to practice and gain a few coins. Lastly, he could teach me some things for a price, but it was quite expensive for me at the moment. I decided to give the tournament a try. After all, I needed to train and I could use the coin. The competition would be a melee group fight. Apparently, 6 renowned lords would be present. The organizers were offering a Nanbu Kawaraj for the victor, a war mount. I decided to bet all my money. It was all or nothing. First round was a 2v2. It seemed we had a chance. But then defeated again. I was frustrated, but I wouldn't give up. I went back to the arena, but this time to train. I practiced, focused, thinking on each strike, thinking of each opponent. My sword was an extension of myself. I tried to anticipate every move, to be one step forward, to free my mind of all distractions. In the end, I fell down, but I managed to take down a total of 13 opponents, winning 25 coins for it. Once I finished my training, I rejoined with the others, but I wasn't the same. For the following weeks, we did absolutely nothing. We just traveled. It was hardly a patrol. We just went from one place to the other. I enlisted for a reason, not just for a warm meal and some daily wage. I couldn't bring justice like this. I came down to the decision to talk to the Lord and put an end to my services. I would carve my own path, guided by honor. Now free and on my own, I needed to get a good weapon. I explored the town. The blossom trees were blooming. Spring was beautiful. I wanted to see if I could buy a katana, since I only had a small blade to defend myself. On my way, I was stopped by thugs. They took orders from their leader. I was let go for now. There seemed to be multiple rival gangs in town. There was no one doing anything about it. The army didn't care. I needed to do something. Approaching the local blacksmith, I checked his wares. The cheapest makeshift katana was selling for over 500 coins. I didn't even have 300. It was time to make some money. There was a tournament about to begin. The perfect opportunity. I put all my gold in. First round was an archery duel. I observed every twitch, every movement, paying attention to every detail of my opponent's body, to know the right precise moment to dodge his arrows. It was like a dance, anticipating every step of my rival. With patience and measure, I took him down. Next round, 2v2. For this one, I went all in. Didn't stop for a second. Launched myself to them, without letting them react or strategize. Defeated one after the other. Round 3. It was a mixed team fight, both ranged and melee. I quickly went to help my teammate. By distracting the enemy, he was able to knock him down. The archer was alone now. He put up quite the fight. I was worried for a bit. But with the two of us, we managed to win. Now, the finals, the last battle against my own teammate. This duel was one I'll never forget. My senses were sharp. I could see every move before it happened, or that's what I thought. He was a formidable opponent. He read every attack of mine, anticipated every swing. It was hard to find the right moment to strike. I couldn't make any mistakes, but I did. My mind wasn't all there. I messed it up. I had absolutely no money at all, nothing. Back to square one. I went to the tavern to see if there were any jobs I could get. Someone told me about a merchant in need of help. I talked to him. He said that a group of merchants showed up selling things at extremely low rates, and he could go out of business. He told me to investigate them. They were set up outside the city, probably because they acquired their goods illegitimately. I accepted the quest. Just outside the town entrance, I found the shady group. I asked how they got the goods, but they didn't want to reveal this. They were clearly bandits. 36 of them. There was no way I could take them all by myself in my current state. So I returned with this information to the merchant, told him he will need a sizable army to get rid of them. He was grateful for this and rewarded me with 500 coins. I used the money to recruit a Kanto militia peasant to my cause. I wasn't the only one wanting a change, to fight for honor. If I was going to bring justice, I needed numbers. I traveled to the village of Kuragano and took more people with me. Also bought some more food to sustain ourselves for the journey ahead. I visited one place after the other, meeting new people who joined our group until someone needed help. They asked me to take their men out into the world to show them a real fight, so they could learn and become stronger, to prepare for an actual war. They would provide provisions and cover the expenses. It was perfect. I accepted, of course. He gave me a total of 5 men to train. While traveling the lands, I got a new level. I put a focus point on steward to increase my party size. Afterwards, I got another job. A man named Saburo asked for help to deal with a Christian who was causing trouble in the village. He had been insulting and mocking our ways. Even took down a statue of Buddha. I would have to deal with him. Walking around the village, I found the guy. He said he was just trying to save these people, saying they were sinners. I told him he was disrespectful and he should leave. He agreed to do so, only if I escorted him to a port. I would get paid, so I took the job. We were a long way from the shore though. Also, we moved really slowly since our numbers were bigger and lacked horses. Not only that, I had to pay 60 coins daily to maintain my recruits. We wouldn't last more than a couple of days like this. So I went to Fukashi and signed up for a tournament. This time, I needed to win. I bet all my money, all 98 coins. If I lost, I would be alone again. I did it. I won my first tournament. Finally, I gained almost 400 coins, got a new horse, and earned renown. The bad thing was, I didn't have enough riding skill to use this mount. It required 60 points and I had 0. Checking the horses for sale, even the most basic ones, required at least 15 points. On our way out to the port, we were stopped by a group of bandits. They said they were after the Christian. I wouldn't leave him to die. I didn't let them take him. Time to fight. This was my first battle on my own, with my man, not under the banner of someone else. Now I was fighting for my beliefs. We wouldn't be cowards against pitiless looters. Without hesitation, we attacked all together. I went to their backside, taking swings with my blade in the frenzy of battle. They didn't stand a chance. We crushed them. The survivors tried to run. We won. Got 100 gold coins, and we took 2 prisoners. I promoted my men to higher ranks too, but most importantly, we got loot. Clothes, horses, tools, equipment. This was what we needed. I equipped the new clothing and realized I could mount one of the horses. The bad news was, we lost 2 of the 5 men I was supposed to train. Only 3 of the borrowed troops were alive. 2 fell in battle. This was the hard reality of war. I was able to pick an athletics perk that increased the movement speed in battle, including my troops. I returned to Fukashi to sell some of my loot, but the strange thing was, none of the vendors had any money. I would get 0 coins for selling anything. I decided to wait and rest for the day. Now the prices were fixed. I sold all the loot and bought plenty of rice to last us for 20 days. With the remaining money, I upgraded the rest of the troops. We had a long way to reach the port. Just when we were about to leave, one of the looters who escaped tried to fight again. I admired his bravery. We were more than 20 against 1. I let my units wait and stay behind. I wanted to fight the challenger myself, just me and him. He went down. The loot was surprising. We got 3 new horses, plus a new hat. Time to depart. We traveled alongside the river for hours on end, days, until we finally reached the port. The missionary was super grateful. He even said I was an honorable man and paid me for my troubles. Almost 500 coins. With this, I had over 1,000. This was my first time in a port. Here, I could take a ferry or even buy a boat of my own. There were 3 different types, each more expensive than the other. I was nowhere near the required amount, so I will leave that for later. We headed to the closest town to rest, Hamamatsu. I walked around the place, checking the wares of traders, talking with the people to see if anybody needed help. But the only jobs available were from gang leaders. Once I get some companions, I would clean the towns from corruption. I decided to stop by the tavern, where I had a seat to play a game of tabloot. I read the instructions and gave my best, but I was bested. I wasn't really good at this type of things. Enough rest. I went to the arena. Since there was no tournament around, I went for a practice round. This was my best record yet. I took down 16 opponents without losing, and the only reason I went down, it was because I was outnumbered. Before leaving town, I bought a makeshift katana, my first long blade. Then something caught my eye. There was a dual location I could go to. While traveling, I gained a new level. Once I reached the location, the place was beautiful. I walked forward. The leaves were gently falling from the tree. I could feel the subtle breeze in my skin. Then I approached the mysterious man. He asked me for a duel. I accepted. The fight would be with wooden weapons of our choosing. I went with the katana. opponent was grateful for the experience. It seemed nearby notables in Hachiga, Muro, and Sarashina would hear of my victory. I received some money, soybeans, and sake. After this, I recruited some people in a village and went to Kofu to take on another tournament. My second victory. Got some renown, new leg armor, and almost 600 coins. I looked forward to buying new gear, but checking the shops, the armors were too expensive here. I needed to win more gold. I ended up recruiting even more people. Continuing on, I came across a temple where I hired a monk. Here I was also able to trade. They had books for sale, which increased skills, but they were insanely pricey. Nonetheless, I donated around 100 gold to the place. Next, I paid a visit to a new village. This place, I wasn't prepared for how beautiful it would be. It made me wish to settle down and just live here. Take all the nature in, feel the sun every morning without any worries. I talked with someone who was looking for people to send to the mines. They needed to be imprisoned criminals. I didn't have any, so I left. Close to the village, there was a castle. It was a really long walk uphill to get there. I had managed to meet with the local daimyo, but he didn't want me there. He only worked with other lords and loyal mercenaries. Looking for more missions, I found a merchant who again asked me to help them with some bandits. I went to talk to them, but this time, instead of asking for help, I dealt with them myself. 16 of our people died. We won, but at what cost? But the good thing was the loot. There was so much that we ran out of space. Back to the merchant, he gave me a bonus reward for dealing with the bandits on my own. I spent a while in the shop selling all the goods, buying dozens of horses for my men, plus got a new helmet and body armor. I felt so confident that I entered another tournament, but this time I lost in the finals. The success got into my head. I couldn't lose focus. Going out, our speed was much faster thanks to all the horses we got. Now we could catch brigands on the run. We confronted the criminals and gave them what they deserved. Not just this group, another one too. They went down like flies. Any crook would have to think twice before breaking the law. My units were promoted after all of these fights. But not everything was violence. While visiting a town, I met a father looking for her missing daughter. He feared the boyfriend abducted her. He said the man was shady and was seen dealing with bandits. I agreed to help. I needed to check out nearby villages. On the way, I dealt with more looters, leaving none of them free. First place I investigated, I met with someone who had traveled with bandits, saying that recently there were more and more of them. The hills outside of town were infested. The task was to take down 2 of the most vicious bands. I went around patrolling the outskirts. It wasn't long before I took not only one group, but both of them. The last one seemed to have a veteran Yari Ashigaru we could recruit. Probably was a prisoner of theirs. The quest was completed. All criminals were pretty much of the same kind, until we came across mountain bandits. We outnumbered them, but they were really dangerous thanks to all their ranged units. In this battle, 4 of my people died, although I got more renown for beating them. After this, I got a new perk, improving my weapon swing speed. I was becoming a more proficient warrior. Continuing with the search of the missing daughter, I asked around Kuragano. Villagers said that they saw a man and a woman exhausted. I checked the area to see if they were still around. After taking a quick look, I found them. The man said they've done nothing wrong, that they were just a couple in love. Even the daughter told me she ran away willingly and that her father was a tyrant. She begged me not to take her away. Honor lied in fairness. She was not a criminal. I followed my heart and decided to leave her free. She was really grateful for this. The quest failed and my relationship with her father went down, but I was happy with my choice. Visiting the market, I equipped one of the bows I looted from the bandits, and some arm protection. I sold everything for 2,000 coins, reaching a total of over 4,000. I waited and rested so my wounds will heal. Then I remembered I still needed to go and get my reward from the Christian quest. Before leaving, I upgraded my units once more. Reaching Sakashina, I talked to Saburo, getting tons of money. We continued dealing with roaming looters, but then we found a bandit hideout. If we wanted to really make a difference, there was no better way than taking apart their home base, striking directly into their headquarters. Passing by the slopes of the mountains, I saw what appeared to be a camp, armed men moving, conversations about raids and ransoms. We waited until nightfall to attack. I could only bring 10 men with me. By beating their leader in a duel, the rest of them surrendered. There were 23 troops available to recruit, plus 11 prisoners. There were so many that I wasn't able to keep them all. We exceeded the party limit. I had to choose carefully who would join our group. If not, morale would go down. I also realized we were able to have their leader as a prisoner. The loot was insane. I also gained a new level and increased my relationship with nearby notables. I returned to Minowa to sell the loot for 8,000 coins. I reached 15k. The plan was to continue hunting their camps, to debilitate them right where it hurt, continue honing my skills in tournaments and duels, to earn more renown, to get my name out there, and more criminals will fear me. I went to the tavern, where I met Kinosuke, the Grey Falcon, a wandering warrior. I hired him as my companion. He had some pretty good gear, which he kindly gave to me. I bought an Osode to replace my Minko cape. Now we were looking much better. Time to hunt. Soon enough, we stumbled upon mountain bandits. They ran away from us, terrified for their lives. But we followed them closely, leading us right to their hideout. We kept chasing them nonetheless, until they had nowhere to run. Thing is, two groups got together to fight back. This was a fierce fight. They had so many archers. With my horse, I ran through them, between them, slicing time and time again, trying to get past their arrows, but getting hit in the process. I was able to take multiple of them down, and we won, but we lost 17 men in that battle. That was more than half of our forces, and a lot of them were veterans. Not good. The good news was, our clan reached a new tier. We did it. This increased our party size to 55, and also, we could join any faction as a mercenary. Now I was heavily wounded from the fight, so we went to Numata village to rest and heal. There I met with Yonosuke. He told me there was an old ruin with a good view of the roads that was taken by a bandit gang. It was the one I came across. He would pay me to take care of it. With my wounds healed, we raided the hideout. The job was done. We got renown, recruits, prisoners, loot, and the payment for the quest, 3,000 coins. I also got to level 7, improving my weapon handling. There were scattered groups of bandits trying to escape. We followed them relentlessly. They were pretty fast. We almost lost track of them, but then we found them grouped up, attacking a merchant caravan. We jumped in to save them. My ranged units were invaluable for this fight. They did all the work. Unfortunately, most of the caravan didn't make it, but the bandit gang was taken care of. My relationship with the old presser merchant improved a lot because of our help. Checking the shops, I realized I won a banner of Naruto, increasing my troops' movement speed by 15%. I was selling so much stuff that the town ran out of money. I managed to reach 20,000 gold. Afterwards, I met Iso the jeweler. He lost 3 caravans in a row because of a new bandit chief. The plan was to bait them. He would disguise mercenaries as merchants. I would be paid to move in and finish off the criminals when the fight erupted. I accepted, and so we exited the town and I followed the caravan closely, but not too close, patiently, until the thugs appeared. It was time to fight. We waited until the right moment to strike. What I didn't realize was that all of their men were mounted ranged units. Our pikemen and archers did a great job countering them, but for me, it was really difficult to land a hit while on the move. Catching up and trying to attack with my katana was challenging, but I managed to get a few kills in the end. They stood no chance. The job was done, and I got the gold, over 1,300 coins. Next, I had my second duel. Nearby notables heard of my victory. My soldiers were promoted once again. Then I got a quest from another man who wanted me to train their troops. This time we were stronger, wiser. We could protect them and teach them properly. Continuing with our journey, we happened to come across a new kind of criminal, pirates. We were unstoppable, no challenge at all. After the battle, I saw something called battle remains. It gave me the option to enter the battlefield. I had a few of my men with me. Going forward, we saw all the bodies scattered around. Approaching the place, I was able to check for any loot available. But we weren't the only ones here. Not at all. There were more, tons more, and they were not friendly. It was a disaster. We were swarmed by them. All we could do was defend ourselves and run. It was close, but we escaped the area. After this, I rested at Edo to heal, get better armor, and sold the loot for over 17,000 gold. Our income was improving exponentially, so I bought even more horses, a better katana, and an odachi, which was a bit slower to swing but much more powerful. I was right near a port. We still needed to confront the criminals that sailed on the water. Checking the available boats, I got the smallest one and the bigger one, which would take 10 days to build. What I didn't realize was that I couldn't even use the small ship because I exceeded the number of troops. I wasn't able to leave men behind. This left me with almost no money at all, so I visited the nearby village for work. There was someone who asked me to bring cattle to Minowa. I took the job and delivered them safe and sound. The only quests available in this city were from gang leaders, which reminded me it was time to teach them a lesson. That should show them. My companion got downed in the battle, but he was alive. We only needed to rest. Money was a big problem now, and if we wanted to clean this town properly, I needed more companions and a way to pay them. So I explored around, taking down looters and offering help to people. One of them told me there was a group of deserters extorting their village. The Lord's army never came to help, but we did. The plan was to lay an ambush, and when the raiders show up, finish them off. I waited in the village, and soon after, they appeared. Crossing the river, the soldiers clashed. I rode behind them, taking the enemies off guard, and winning the fight. The loot was a relief. We needed this, and more. The villagers offered over 1,400 dinars for helping them, but these were just people in need. I had the option to decline the payment, which I did. It was the honorable choice. This gave me renown, improved my relationship, and the man told me I will be always remembered by their people. But that might have not been the brightest decision. Soon after, I wasn't even able to pay the wages to my soldiers. I was at 0 coins. Morale was going down. There was a tournament nearby. Selling the loot got me enough money to have something to bet on the competition. failed. Not only myself, but my men. We were surviving with scraps, selling loot from the bandits, but then I realized what was actually happening. The ship upkeep was incredibly expensive, increasing my daily expenses to over 400 gold. It was more expensive than my whole army. The new ship was ready, so I went to the port and set sail, navigating along the coast. We managed to spot a pirate hideout. Unfortunately, we couldn't dock there. We had to go to the closest port and ride all the way there. Having successfully taken down the hideout, I sold the loot, but still we were barely surviving. Then I found out I was able to scrap the ships. I got rid of the smallest one since I couldn't even use it, but before throwing away the expensive one, I wanted to give naval combat a try. We boarded a pirate ship. By mistake, I ended up going pretty much alone for this encounter. There were 2 enemy boats coming up. And so, I had risen from a nameless peasant to a warrior of honor. The seas and lands knew my name. Bandits fled before us. We patrolled every corner, fighting to bring peace and justice. We were a force to be reckoned with. But this was just the beginning. There were others who saw us as a threat, and soon they would come for us. Don't forget to use my Red Shadow Legends link in the description or scan my QR code on screen to get exclusive bonuses, and you'll help support the channel.